You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
Broadway, you've got a clown on Broadway. Your troubles there are out of style. From Broadway, your way, where to try. A million lights, they flicker there. A million hearts beat quicker there. No skies are gray on the great white way. That's the Broadway Melody.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Drinks and a Movie podcast. We're continuing the every Best Picture winner, every Academy Award Best Picture winner series. So today I'm going to be talking about 1929's The Broadway Melody. So this film was directed by Harry Beaumont, and it stars Bessie Love, Anita Page, and Charles King. So this one follows a pair of sisters. We have Harriet, they call her Hanky though, or Hank. And then we have Queenie Mahoney. These are played by Bessie Love and Anita Page, who are vaudevillians that are looking to get an act on Broadway. So they go to New York with Eddie Kearns, who's got a song, who's trying to put them on. And there's a bit of a love triangle situation, kind of like we saw in Wings, where there's the two guys that like the same woman. In this one, we have Eddie, who's with Hank, but then falls in love with Queenie, and then some of that stuff ensues as he's trying to pursue her. I will say, so this movie did not really land for me. I did not care for it whatsoever. It's only an hour, 40 minutes, but man, it was a slog to get through. This was the first musical to win a Best Picture, of course, right? The first one was those Wings that won. I think at that time they actually called it Outstanding Picture, and this was also, you can imagine, the first talkie to win. So we're in the era of like getting into that new technology, which is pretty interesting, and it's kind of worth seeing for that maybe, but ultimately I wouldn't really recommend this movie. The musical numbers I thought were pretty boring. Like nothing was memorable. Like there was no memorable musical numbers. The cinematography didn't really do much. It still feels very much like a silent film, the way it's shot. And I have to say, it's like on one hand, you can be like, yeah, sure, of course it did. But I don't know, after you come off of watching Wings, from the year prior, which was made in 27, I think, and just all the amazing shots and technique and everything they did for that film, I was kind of expecting this next one, the second Best Picture winner to, I don't know, kind of be a level up. I had some high hopes because we started off so strong and it didn't really deliver. The characters are okay. I do like Hank Mahoney. The sister that the guy kind of leaves her for her other sister that's prettier. And that's kind of part of the dynamic, is Queenie's the one that's known to be way more beautiful and this and that. So she gets more opportunities, which is kind of a bummer. There's of course a lot of dated things in this movie, but I'm not going to get into that. I want to, talk about it just based off what it delivers and like the context of the time, right? But yeah, I think the actors are fine. The movie just story-wise didn't really do it for me. I didn't connect with anything. Again, musical dance numbers, not very memorable. So yeah, don't particularly recommend this one. So this will be a short episode. One thing that's crazy is I think Anita Page, who plays Queenie, apparently retired in her 20s not long after this movie. And a lot of that had to do with, I think it was Thalberg and who was the other person at MGM. But apparently they tried to, make some moves on her, and she wasn't about it, of course, and then just kind of got out of acting. And I think didn't return to acting until one project in the 60s, and then a couple in the 90s, and then the early 2000s. So real bummer, man. It's like, I'm sure we're going to come across a lot of those stories with just the debauchery and all the misogyny and everything that was happening with those studio heads in Hollywood, especially at that time. Like, it was definitely more of the Wild West and not a good place. And as much as I know some people like to think it was all wholesome, but it definitely wasn't. That's for damn sure. And this is a pre-code movie, of course. That's interesting. We're about 4 years away until the motion picture production code really kicks into gear. So some of the themes in character choices and stuff we're going to see kind of not be allowed pretty soon. So that is interesting. Like, we have a character who I think was the costume designer, who's clearly, gay, that's something that they wouldn't show. Even this whole love triangle idea and, Eddie leaving Hank to be with Queenie and some of these other, things around marriage or relationships, aren't going to be allowed pretty soon. So that's another kind of interesting factor in the timeline. So yeah, themes that, will be a little bit different moving forward. Just to talk about like the Oscars themselves a little bit. So this was, of course, the second Academy Awards held in 1930. This one was at the Coconut Grove of the Ambassador Hotel. Yeah, Thursday, April 3rd, 1930, honoring movies released from August 1st, 1928 to July 31st, 1929. I believe this one was also on the radio, so they weren't televised yet, but this one was played on the radio, if I remember correctly. And I want to just talk about some of the other Best Picture winners. I think it's fair. I didn't do this for Wings. I should have, but this was going up for Outstanding Picture against Alibi, In Old Arizona, Hollywood Review, and The Patriot. None of those movies I've seen. But the Broadway Melody from MGM was the one that, obviously won. And yeah. So, I mean, that's it. That's the second, annual Academy Awards. And yeah, I hope we've got, some better movies going on. I think I might kind of rank these as I go. And then maybe at the end of this whole ordeal, I'll do a full ranking. But as it stands now, 100% Wings is the better movie for me. So I recommend Wings still. This kind of just made me sad that like, damn, why didn't we get better? But granted, they were now introducing sound. It was new technology, so I give them that. I'm sure there was a lot to deal with, and they're still kind of having to dial in what do the shots look like how do you incorporate sound with certain shots. So I guess in that context it does make sense. Maybe there's certain movements and things they couldn't do because they had to make sure the sound was right. So I will give them that. We're at a turning point right now. Talkies were a very new thing. And what was I going to say? Yeah, well, I guess that's that. Oh, there was apparently a Technicolor sequence shot for this film, like one of the musical dance numbers. But I guess they cut it out and it's since been lost and there's no recovery of it. So I would have been interested to see what that would have looked like. Like this would have been, I believe, the first Technicolor movie, at least for like a scene, So it's too bad that that's kind of lost to time, but that's what happens with all these older films. So up next, the third winner for 1931 is All Quiet on the Western Front from Universal. So that'll be the next movie coming down the pipeline here. And wow, this is a very, very short episode. I do have to say as well, I am not drinking today because I just finished doing a 6-day fast where I've had nothing but water from Monday all the way to it's Sunday now. So today I'm breaking the fast. All I've had was some vegetable soup and a little bit of probiotic yogurt, and I'm trying to slowly, get my my digestive system back to work. I don't want to overdo it, and I definitely don't want to break the fast by drinking some hard liquors. So pretty soon I'll be having some drinks again, and that'll extend this episode because we're at about 8.5 minutes right now. So short one, but yeah, that is the Broadway Melody from 1929. I'll catch you guys later on the next one. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks and a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksandamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.